Before we look at what an octave is, let's just get a bit of terminology out of the way. We're going to look at the pitch of musical notes. The pitch is how high or low a note sounds. Here's a high one, and here's a low one. Firstly, we'll have a more technical explanation that might make sense if you're more into that sort of thing, and then we'll look at a more musical version. Now, you might find it useful to know that the pitch of a note is determined by the frequency. That is, how fast or slowly the thing that makes the sound vibrates. Like a string, or a pipe, or a skin, or whatever. Frequency is measured in cycles per second, and the unit for that is hertz. Notes that vibrate more slowly sound lower, and notes that vibrate fast sound higher. When we talk about the distance in pitch between two different notes, the distance is known as the interval. We're going to look at a really important musical interval called the octave. The octave is the interval between two notes where one vibrates twice as fast as the other. For example, this note is at 440 Hertz, and this one is at 880 Hertz, exactly twice the frequency, and they are an octave apart. That is to say, doubling the frequency of a note moves it up an octave. A much more common way to think of an octave is to hear the first two notes of the melody for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere. Let's see how this looks on a piano keyboard. Even if you don't play piano, a keyboard is a really useful way to view notes and intervals and all that kind of stuff. Here are the white keys, and here are the black keys arranged in groups of 2 and 3 in a repeating pattern. Play any note on the keyboard and find the next key that's in the same position in the pattern. That's an octave. You could do this with any pair of keys as long as they occupy the same position in the pattern. By the way, here are the names of the notes on the white keys, and you'll notice that there are only 7 of them. That's because notes an octave apart sound so similar that they even have the same name as each other. Here's a G, and here's another G an octave higher. You might be able to hear how similar they are. So, that's an octave. One last thing. As you can see on the keyboard, when 2 notes span an octave, they jump across lots of tiny intervals from one piano key to the next. These are the smallest intervals we normally use in Western music, and these are called semitones. You'll see that it takes a total of 12 semitones to go up 1 octave. That's a useful thing to know. 12 semitones make an octave. And 2 semitones make a tone. So we can say there are 6 tones in an octave. And in case you're wondering why it's called an octave, because it sounds like it should have something to do with the number 8, like an octopus or an octagon, well, it's very common for a scale that spans an octave to contain 8 notes. But that's for another time.